The opposition NDC is calling on parents to take their wards out of the various secondary schools to avoid contracting COVID-19. According to the party, President Akufo-Addo's decision to reopen the schools despite an increase in the COVID-19 numbers is a clear indication that his interest is not in their lives but in politics. At a news conference here in Accra, the party outlined 10 reasons for which they believe key indicators that the Akufo-Addo administration has lost the fight against COVID-19.
The NDC reckons that our current situation calls for decisive and forthright leadership to stem the tide of the marauding virus, which now threatens all of us. This is not a time for weak and tired loins, as the health minister and President Akufo-Addo have developed. Neither is it a time to place politically driven decisions ahead of public health. Clearly, our national response plan and strategy have failed, and we need to re-strategize and take some critical remedial actions to salvage our failing fight as a matter of urgency. The NDC, therefore, demands that the Akufo-Addo government adopts and implements the following far-reaching measures to protect Ghanaian lives. First, we demand the immediate closure of all reopened schools, which were hurriedly reopened under the guise of facilitating the writing of WASI, just to make room for the Electoral Commission to register SHS students on their school campuses. Today, the Ghanaian Times newspaper reports that 10 more senior high schools have recorded cases of COVID-19. As we speak, Nigeria, a major participant in the WASI exam, has rescinded its decision to reopen schools, while Kenya has also decided to close schools until 2021. We urge President Akufo-Addo to prioritize human lives, to prioritize the lives of our innocent SHS students over electoral fancies. Also, we call on all and sundry to condemn the action of the National Youth Organizer of the NPP, Henry Nana Boakye, for leading the shameful agenda of making SHS campuses their hotbed of political activities during these perilous times. We further demand that in consonance with GES regulations, the headmaster of that senior high school in Kumasi be interdicted immediately in order to serve the ends of justice. Secondly, we demand that government deals urgently with high infection rates among health professionals by providing the required type and number of PPE for health workers. As a matter of fact, and I want you to listen to this very carefully, ladies and gentlemen, government must heed to calls to revise its narrow conceptualization of frontline health workers and immediately provide the required PPEs to aid our gallant health workers in combating this deadly virus. Let me add that the need for the adequate provision of PPE for health workers must now be situated within the work of a bipartisan committee, because we can no longer allow our health workers to get infected and die when money has been voted for that purpose by our representatives in Parliament. Thirdly, government must review the new discharge and recovery policy that allows the discharge of people with positive cases after just one test, or in some cases, 0 test. Much as government may be in a hurry to make our picture look good, a further worsening of this situation will completely shatter, completely overrun our health system, hence the need to tread cautiously. The new policy, which appears to be shoring up our recovery cases, is creating a false sense of security amongst the people. And our implementation of same, against the caution of the World Health Organization that there is a minimal residual risk that patients discharged under this new policy may still be infectious, has a tendency to jeopardize further our failing fight against the pandemic.
A false sense of hope, he says. Let's speak to Prosper Bani. He's a member of the NDC COVID-19 team. He's joining me on phone. Mr. Bani, it's good to have you. It's been a very long time. Good afternoon.
He's the chairman of the technical team of the COVID-19 team of the NDC.
Hello.
And,
I lost you at the beginning.
Well, I'm saying that I'm the chairperson.
Right. Sorry for that. Thank you for that correction.
Of the team. And just for information, last night we issued a statement also on the school reopening of schools, as well as the registration of students on campus.
Right. So essentially what the party's position has been is for parents to withdraw their children from the schools. Isn't that going to create a chaotic situation? Well,
thank you very much for this opportunity. The recommendation to that effect is a build-up on our initial caution to government that the reopening of schools was not a good idea, precisely because at the time that schools were being reopened, our numbers were going up and death rates were increasing. Community spreading had intensified, and we thought that putting our kids in harm's way by putting them together in school environment would be too high of a risk for our country to bear. Even when the decision was taken against our recommendation, we further advised that should it be the case that students went to school, absolute support should be provided to teachers, non-teaching staff, as well as students, as far as face masks are concerned. Today, we are receiving reports from various SHS campuses that the full complement of the face masks have not been received, further worsening the conditions of our dear children who are just there forcibly by government to take their final exam. You will realize today that the virus has spread in a very fast way, and we are beyond 24,000. 20,000 discharge and recovery rate. And as you realize that the calculations of recoveries and discharge, it's not the best for Ghanaians to consume, because the reality is that division is absurd.
Right now, I've just seen your statement. And in the statement, one of the things you're recommending as part of asking the children or making the children go home is for them to be tested. You're asking for a mass testing to make sure that they are not transporting the cases back home. I know that your committee has been in contact with officials, with health officials, and you sent in your recommendations, etc. But is this a recommendation you have pushed to them? How did they accept it?
Well, we are not only emphasizing mass testing of students, but this is being called for because of the current circumstances. We have always recommended that to get control of the spread of this virus, our citizens must have a program of mass testing. That is the only way we will know who has the virus and who doesn't have the virus. When the situation demanded, institutions that are able to do so have tested all their staff and realized that they have been infected with the virus and have closed down. Why can't we do this for our children? Why can't we do this for our dear children in school? Boss, Ministry of Finance, Cocoa Board, the court system, all these privileged opportunity to test all their staff and realize that they have high infection rates and have closed down. Why don't we give our children the opportunity to be tested, to come out with the real numbers before we subject them to being put together in schools to prepare for their exams, which right now is a psychological challenge for our boys and girls to go through, because they're very much aware that the virus has entered their environment.
So just a quick one. I just spoke to Charles this afternoon, and they are on the ground, essentially. They tell me that...
Who is Charles?
Charles is the Conference of Assisted...
Okay, yeah, I got it.
Right. Heads of assisted... Conference of Heads of Assisted Secondary Schools.
Yes.
And they are saying they are on the ground. They're saying that the situation on the ground doesn't give them the impression that the children are under any psychological stress. It doesn't also give them the impression that this is a situation we cannot handle as a country.
Well, it's because they have not subjected the children to testing, so they don't know the numbers. Okay. That is why they can speak based on some level of ignorance. I mean, logically, you can only determine the numbers if you test. And if Cocoa Board, Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Education, Board, and others have tested their large number of workers, why can't we invest in the safety of our children?
Another thing you raise in your...
By investing in testing, so that we all parents can be sure that our kids are in safe hands. And indeed, the teachers and the staff will be even more confident to provide the necessary teaching and guidance to our kids to be able to perform well in the exam.
This will probably be...
that knowledge, it is very dangerous. Imagine a staff in Cocoa Board knowing that the one or two of his colleagues have tested positive. Will they be comfortable to go to work every day?
Mr. Bani, this will probably be my final question, and it has to do with the registration. It's an issue you raised in your statement about allowing the decision of the Electoral Commission to enter secondary schools to register final year students on campus. You say you also have an issue with that. But the argument has been mounted that these children, I mean, these young people who have turned 18 would have registered anyway, even if they weren't in school.
Well, it is based on the conditions under which the schools were reopened. Okay. We were told that parents cannot have access to their children because of the dangers associated with the spread of the virus. If that is so, why do we then penetrate these schools with EC officials, party agents, and other actors who go on this campus purposely for political activity, not in any way to encourage students to study to pass their exam? Okay. Under the circumstances of spreading the virus, this is the bit. It's not about, in normal time, we will not have any issue of having our students who have turned 18 to have the opportunity to register and vote. Great idea. But under these times that are not normal, why do we increase the chance of them being infected by sending political actors, the EC? And I understand some political parties have gone out there, even campaigning. This is not acceptable. Let us save our children. Let us provide the school environment conducive for them to learn and to pass their exam.
Mr. Bani, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. He's the chairman of the NDC COVID-19 team, Chairman Prosper Bani. They're speaking to us on phone.